One of the news stories in the NBA cycle right now is Lonzo Ball, who's reportedly going to miss the entirety of this next season, recovering from a nasty knee injury that they just sort of figured out what it was this past year. And so Stephen A. Smith, who's obviously very tied in the NBA circles, and was just talking about Lonzo Ball and mentioned that sources are telling him that Lonzo Ball was having difficulty standing up from a seated position, and that there were indications that maybe his career is over. And to me, that's something that I don't know about you, Amin. Like, I would hear that, and I would say, if I'm that player, I'd be like, I don't really mind if they're saying that about me. But Lonzo Ball went next level and went an entire video response to Stephen A. Smith. Here it is.
Stephen A., who are your sources, bro? Please tell me who your sources are. Come on, man. You gotta stop yapping. And I actually like you, man. I don't even know you like that, but I like you. I'm coming back, man. Come on.
And what the audio audience couldn't see there is that he was standing up and sitting down over and over again just on one leg. I'm assuming the injured leg, right? I didn't actually double check that. That would be quite the move by him. But he's just going back and forth and saying that, oh, I'm coming back. To me, I'm Lonzo Ball. I'm more concerned about, my recovery. I'm more concerned about how it's an entire year he's going to miss again, essentially. I was a little surprised by the effort he put into the response, but it made me way happier because the Lonzo Ball story was going to be really sad if what Stephen A. said was the truth.
How do we know what Stephen A. said isn't the truth? Not about being able to sit down and stand up, but about his career being over. He underwent something called cadaver cartilage transplant.
Mm-hmm.
They took cartilage from a dead person, pretty much, and implanted it into him to kind of stimulate the growth of cartilage there. It's happened a couple of times in NBA history. There's never been a person who's recovered from it. Like, the last guy was Festus Ezeli, I want to say. And
feels like it was a while ago, at least a decade ago or so, right?
Yeah, probably. Now looking at it, probably like 20. It was after. It was more than a decade because
right.
he played for the Warriors. He won a couple of championships.
Not quite.
So maybe like 5-6 years ago, and Festus never played again. Like he tried, but he couldn't. And so, look, for Lonzo's sake, for all of our sake, I hope we're all wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I hope we're all wrong, but I don't think Stephen A. is out of question in saying something that has been said in NBA circles by a lot of people is that this dude's career might be over. But I'm glad he can stand up and sit down in a chair.
Yeah, I'm not knocking on Stephen A. for breaking that news. I'm just happy that the opposite, or whatever it is that Lonzo is telling us, is true. And it's a good test for medicine and the advancement of all that. But like Lonzo Ball particularly is just one of those stories that you just kind of want to see play out a little bit, right? Because you've got the father with him and LaMelo and everything.
He was right,
else,
by the way.
That his father was right.
Yeah, LeVar Ball. About his sons.
Well, he said
he said Jello.
They're
Right?
great.
Jello is.
What? Well, what was he right about? He said his son was better than Steph Curry right now.
Well, that was not right. Yeah.
Well, the thing that
he
I
was right that they're good NBA players.
I don't think anyone ever doubted that.
The thing that I was excited about Lonzo so if you remember that draft, it was Markelle Fultz 1, right, and it was Lonzo 2, and then it was Jason Tatum 3, and people just kind of gave up on Markelle Fultz, obviously, still doing some good things, or now doing some good things in Orlando. And I feel like Lonzo had been given up on even when he left the Lakers, but he adjusted his shot to the point, and he got to a point with the Bulls where he was playing or shooting it especially well. And I'd like to see the end of that story. And I'm more intrigued by him than even by LaMelo, even though LaMelo's, a little fancier, a little nicer with it. He plays for the Charlotte Wilders. He's just, I don't see the same sort of intriguing storyline from LaMelo. I feel like LaMelo is plays out to be sort of maybe somebody who underperforms in the long term versus Lonzo, who's pretty much the opposite, where it's just like, oh, this guy can't shoot. Now, wow, he's a 40% three-point shooter and, recovers from this devastating knee injury.
The part with Lonzo that's interesting, right, is he was the face of everything that his dad was projecting onto the Suns. And so LaMelo gets to live in this sort of almost post-LeVar Ball world where by the time he came into the league, we'd all sort of exhausted most of the jokes that existed about Big Baller Brand and everything else, where Lonzo had to sort of wear the brunt of that as he came into the league. You know, there were arguments that he could be the number 1 overall pick, then he doesn't go number 1. Then obviously everything happens with the Lakers the way that it does. He's had to wear a lot of struggle out there in front of the public in a way that LaMelo hasn't had to. One, because he's seemingly a better and more polished player as he comes into the league. But two, he ended up in Charlotte with a team that nobody expected to be all that good. He didn't need to be a piece. He wasn't the first example of us needing to pile onto somebody because of LeVar, where Lonzo, like, I root hard for Lonzo Ball because of all of those other circumstances.
We're going to have to wait a year to see him play again, but the LaMelo thing is interesting because he did go to a place where, sorry, Charlotte, relatively anonymous. Charlotte, I just called you Charlotte because it says Charlotte right behind you. Sorry,
That
Lucy.
should be
He's
a
from North
fine.
Carolina.
It should be a
I
fine.
love
It
it.
should be a
Dallas,
fine.
brother.
Here you go.
He just tried to blame Juju. He said,
boy.
I
called you
did.
Charlotte
It's all.
because of-
It's,
He just
it's
paid me the same money
$7 because I
also.
blamed
He
something
paid me the
else.
same amount of money.
Yeah, I know. I'm doing the math. I had $2. I think I owe 2 more.
LeVar's
So
still
we-
out here selling $5,000 sneakers on
No, he's
BigBallerBrand.com. Yeah, there's a
Even
pair
though
of
his son told the world that they were part of his injury problems.
the golden ticket shoe, which looks like it's autographed by LeVar Ball, is $5,000.
It's autographed by
man.
LeVar.
It looks like it's
That's
autographed,
quite-
yeah, by LeVar.
Feels like an investment.
Quite the decision. Like, hey, Melo or no?
There's also
That's
one
why
called
Melo
Elephant.
don't win,
Elephant
because he
in
had
the
to wear
Room.
them shoes.
I miss LeVar. Can I say that?
I'm on BigBallerBrandInc.com, and LeVar is in the photo. There's a big banner.
Yeah.
I don't know who he's surrounded by.
No, it's not his children.
That's them $200 an hour brothers right there.
you get them off of Craigslist.
The one on the one on the left, when you're looking at it, looks like an AI younger LeVar, right?
Maybe. Oh, what if he did that? What if he just had AI, like, formulate
Oh,
younger versions?
they
of
got
him?
shell toes.